Hello, everyone, and welcome to Centered.Live. We're so glad that you're joining us, and we hope that you keep coming back. So, Centered.Live is real conversations about what grounds us, lifts us, and helps us live with purpose, clarity, and compassion. Your hosts are Randy Burgoyne and Paul Malloy, husbands, fathers, teachers, and men of tremendous experience and faith. Tonight's topic: zero trust. That sounds pretty heavy. It sounds intimidating. Sounds dramatic. But let me kind of insert a little bit here, because what happened to my wife and I 2 years ago is a perfect example of what we want to talk about tonight. So 2 years ago, we were working together in our living room, and I received a phone call, and it said that they were from America First Credit Union, and there was a questionable activity on our account. And so what happened from there is basically unfolding is that I gave them our account information, but there were things that didn't seem to add up. Like, for example, every step seemed to take a lot of time to accomplish. So he said, we're verifying, and it took 5 minutes to verify. Or we're transferring funds from one account to another safer account, and that was taking like 20 minutes. At some point, I started to get very nervous and suspicious, perhaps. And so on my phone, on Ann's phone, actually, I called America First Credit Union fraud alert and asked them, are you working with us on another line, or is this somebody else? And they immediately said, it's not us, hang up. And then they kicked into their fraud procedures, and they were able to stop the withdrawal of about $20,000.
Ooh,
Yeah, that would have been devastating. And so I'm very grateful, first of all, that I had some sort of inkling that this wasn't all right. Secondly, I'm very grateful that America First Credit Union was quick to respond, got us right through, quick to confirm that it wasn't them, and then quick in initiating the corrections needed, which ultimately actually still hurt us because all of our automated account systems had to be rebuilt on a totally new account. And so in some ways we sort of lost our 45-year history of that particular account.
Oh, wow.
Randy, I thought, that the concept was kind of trust but verify, and recognizing that you are an expert in this field. What's going on?
Well, so in a perfect world, trust is a virtue, right?
Yes.
In today's digital landscape, blind trust just is a liability. Scammers are clever, they're persistent, and they're getting better and better every day. They're learning about how you do business, how you pay your bills. They're sending phishing emails and fake telephone support calls.
Right.
And
the man that I was working with was so polite and so professional. There
yeah,
was nothing there that tipped him off to being a scammer.
right. And they're getting really good. And so we're going to talk about some of the telltale signs of what a scam is
Oh, good.
and the mindset you need to avoid becoming a victim.
Yeah, that will certainly be helpful.
Yeah. And this isn't going to stop everything, but we'll talk about that a little bit later.
Okay. Well, I know that we said zero trust, and zero trust is kind of a buzzword in the tech world right now, right? And it basically means don't trust anything by default. That we want to verify everything before we give access. So, Randy, how do we apply that idea to our everyday life, especially when it comes to scams?
Yeah, great question. Zero trust is a tech term, and it's kind of a buzzword, but I'd like to explain it this way.
Okay.
Every time you get a phone call or an email or a text, you automatically have a metal trust score, right? And okay, you'll have to hang on with me for a minute because this is what
Okay.
I'm thinking.
Yeah.
And here's the key. The score starts at 0. So thus 0 trust. No matter how familiar it feels, whether it's a known company name or someone using your personal info, you start from 0 and work upward only as things check out. Okay.
Okay.
So as you gain a little bit more information, that score is going up slowly.
Okay. All right. I'm tracking that, and that seems like a reasonable and cautious way to approach the idea that, okay, am I talking to who I really think I'm talking to?
Right.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And then as we get a little bit more comfortable, then it's obvious that we're going to be able to share a little bit more information. I actually called America First today, and before I actually connected with anyone to help me, they ran a 30-second advertisement on the phone talking about how commonplace phishing and smishing and other scams are happening, and they're trying to tell us as customers, consumers, that we need to be super careful.
Yeah, in fact, the state of Utah Department of Commerce has a great little video they've put out on social media. I'll see if I can find it and connect a link
Link it. Yeah, that would be helpful.
But they give about 5 steps on how these people are attacking you. And this 0 trust information that we're sharing here fits right together with those warnings. And we can't by any means address every way that somebody's going to try to scam you, right? But at least some of these are a foundation that'll give you a way to avoid it, at least some of them, or hopefully all of them. But yeah.
Okay. All right. So let's say that I get an email that looks exactly like it's coming from my bank or my credit union. What should that trust score tell me?
Okay, so first, your trust score should still be 0,
Okay.
even if it looks perfect. Think of
Okay.
it as okay, the information that they're providing me is easily available, and so it's so easy that it doesn't initiate or doesn't qualify as a trust item,
Okay.
reason to trust them.
So in other words, just because it looks like it's coming from my bank or my credit union, that in itself is no guarantee.
Right, right. It used to be that you could look at the email address and determine that, oh, that's kind of a weird address. It says
Right.
America First dot XYZ123.com,
Right.
and oh yeah, it's got that extra. So, but they're getting better in spoofing
Right.
those email addresses or hacking in. I had a friend of mine down the street had his business email server hacked, and they started sending all their clients new account information for their direct deposits.
Oh,
Yeah.
yikes.
So that's a whole different scenario, and his server was not secure. It wasn't
Oh,
an industry standard secure, but that's the kind of thing that happens. But anyway, let's go back to your email. It looks perfect. The logo, the email address, it even maybe gives you the last 4 digits of an account or your social security number. But guess what? Those are all available in hack databases.
wow.
So the only way to build real trust is to independently confirm. So instead of clicking links or calling a phone number and email, You
As
want
well, especially if it's a phone number on that email, right?
right,
I
exactly.
always it's like I start with the email that I already know
Yep,
goes directly to the office. Yeah,
right. Yep, go to your bank's website, the one that you've gone to regularly, or
right,
call the
right.
number on the back of your debit card. Just never trust any of the contact information in that suspicious message.
Okay. And so then receiving a phone call, similar scenario, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. So no matter how official they sound, and like you said, the guy sounded professional.
Hmm.
He was polite. Those are the things that they get good at, but you still gotta make sure you start at zero trust.
Okay.
And then here's a few things to think of. Did I initiate this call? Are they calling me back because I left a message for somebody? I'm trying to solve a problem, check a balance. For me, it's like, why do I have this extra fee on my account? Right?
Right.
Um, was I expecting the call? Maybe I know that there was an issue, or I made a purchase. Like I was making a large purchase in a faraway town, and the bank called me. It was like
Yes.
right while I was standing at the register, and I'd hardly had my credit card in the machine long enough. Are you buying a computer for $1,800? I thought, well, yeah, thanks for calling.
Yeah, I know. I actually had a text message that came to me from USAA, and it said verify this amount to this party, yes or no, and it happened, within a second or two of actually making that commitment.
Right. Yeah. And those are things that the banks are starting to do that are really helpful in cutting down the fraud. The last thing is independently verify it. Verify it with some information that's not in the phone call that they're telling you about. So quite often they'll call up. I'm calling about your credit card information. Your merchant account is the last one I got. We're calling about your merchant account information for your business, and we have a fraud alert on it. And I'm going, oh, which bank are you with? Well, which? And so I go on the offense. Oh no.
Wow.
Well, which bank are you with? Oh, wow. Okay, I better check that. Okay, thanks. Bye.
Okay.
So then I hang up and I go and look at the official number and call back and find out there's no issue going on. So
Right. Right. And I've even had that just within the last couple of weeks where I've called and said, okay, is there something going on with my account, or is it okay? And it was okay, which means that the other communication was definitely fraudulent. Yeah.
yeah,
Well, I'm glad that there's a way for us to take back control and not let somebody else set those terms. So what's next?
so let's just not forget scams are everywhere. There's phishing, texts, pop-up warnings, social media DMs. Now those pop-up warnings, I had a family member text me a picture of the screen with one of those flashing, annoying,
Yeah.
and she basically says, how do I stop this dang beeping? I know it's a scam. I know it, but I can't stop it. I rebooted my computer and it came right back.
Really?
And I said, oh, yeah, you probably didn't, you probably restarted, not rebooted.
Okay.
And she says, well, it wouldn't let me do anything. I had to just do the control delete
Yeah.
restart. I said,
Yeah.
okay, pull the plug. What? You're not supposed to do that. So pull the plug. It was a desktop computer. All right. So she went and pulled the plug out of the wall, plugged it back in, turned it on. Because what happens if you reset, sometimes Windows thinks that you want to go back right to the same place you
Right.
were,
Right.
which is convenient, which is what it should do. But it
Yeah.
also puts you right back on that bad website.
Right.
So even, there was a rash of social media direct messages in Facebook a few years ago. And I think those are some things that Facebook's cracked down on. But the scammer's goal is always the same. It's to push your emotions, fear, urgency, excitement.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the what is my my friend that's an investment advisor, FUD, fear, uncertainty, and doubt.
Oh, okay.
Those are the things that
That
people
they play
react.
on.
Yeah, you play
Yeah,
on the
right.
fear, uncertainty, and doubt,
Ugh.
or
And it
excitement,
works.
and it
It
works.
absolutely works. I mean, on my phone, for example, every now and then I will get something that says, "Oh, you've got a virus." I
Yeah,
go, "How did that happen?"
yeah,
Well, obviously it's not a virus, but they'll tell you, "Don't turn your phone off. Don't try to escape. Click here." Wherever that here is to engage, an antivirus scan, right? But they want money for it, of course.
yeah.
And it's like, okay, I am shutting my phone down. I mean, total shutdown, wait a few seconds, start back up again. So,
Yeah, I had the family member that clicked on the link, went to it, and it was actually a a known um, antivirus program. It was a
hmm,
popular one. When I dug into it, all it was doing, it was taking a an affiliate receipt of money, maybe a couple dollars or whatever, for that purchase. But it was going about it the wrong way. It was forcing you or scamming you into making that purchase.
got it. Got it.
But so let's. But again, let's talk about zero trust.
Yeah.
These pop-ups are designed to scare you into quick action. But here's the truth: legitimate tech companies don't operate like that. You know,
Okay.
Microsoft never will have a pop-up on your screen. Apple, nope. Adobe, well, that's another story for another day. But
Okay.
I think Adobe and McAfee introduce scareware. They scare you into buying something, which I think is a little deceptive, not illegal. It's one of those type of things.
Got it. Got it.
Um,
Well, that's probably what I've run into then for a time or two.
yep. The best you can do is close your browser. Don't call the number. Do your own virus scan. Just never trust the pop-up that wants your attention.
Yeah, right. That makes sense. So it sounds like this mindset should work. The zero trust mindset should work across the board.
Mhm.
And regardless of whether it's a text message about a package delivery or a phone call or an email or anything else like that, right? I mean, I guess if we're operating with that concept um, as our baseline, right, then typically we're going to be tipped off at some point that, okay, I'm not talking with or relaying information back and forth with a legitimate source.
Right, and the hard part is that scammers often know a little bit about you.
Mm.
They if they've gone into a hack site, like if you've ever done business with Marriott or
Hmm.
LinkedIn or
Oh gosh.
Target,
Okay.
they've had their entire databases hacked. Your address, your credit card number,
Mm.
all this personal information has been sold on the internet, and you can buy it.
Is this
So
where we talk about the dark web?
yeah,
And yeah,
yep.
that's where those transactions are happening, that kind of thing.
Right. There's this secret network of evildoers
Yeah. Yeah.
that that trade this information, buy and sell it. And if they
Mm.
find somebody that is a is prone to falling for a scam, you're going to get it again. So all this data is scraped or stolen from
Yeah.
data
Yeah.
breaches. So in fact, I got one that had my password in it.
Really?
I had an old password that I used.
Okay. Okay.
It had my email address, my full name, and it had your password for you is such and such. And we know this because your computer has been accessing illegal sites, and If you don't call this number right now, we're going
Oh
to
my
send you.
gosh, that would stop my heart a little bit. That what do you mean I've been accessing illegal sites?
Right. Yeah. So, yeah, you don't want the FBI knocking on your door, but that
For
was all
sure.
fake. It was all threat.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm glad that we're discussing this because certainly I'm sure a lot of people, would certainly think, okay, well, they've got legitimate information, so they must be who they say they are.
Right. And that's hard. It is
Yeah.
hard.
Yeah.
So, trust is earned by verification, not by recognition. Okay, so
I like that.
if someone calls you and you recognize their voice, that's not the verification. Okay, maybe if you recognize their voice and the phone number matches them, okay, your trust score has gone up a little bit. If they start talking about something that is, a recent lunch that you both went to, or talking about work or something, boy, that's a big jump up. Okay, oh yeah, we have something in common that happened recently.
Okay. Okay. I see what
That,
you're saying. Yep.
yeah. So here's a simple mental checklist to go through. Was I expecting this? Do I recognize and verify the sender or caller or whatever? Are they asking for personal info? Is there an urgency or a threat?
Right.
Those are things that create that urgency that gets you to act. So
Yeah.
don't click, don't reply, don't engage, verify through a trusted source. And then we're
Okay.
going to hit this. Those are things we've repeated like 4 times already, right? Verify.
Yeah, absolutely. And, I would just say that we need to make sure that our family and our friends are also aware of this, and we're sharing this information so that somebody else, say for example, my son in Lehigh doesn't get somebody that says, hey, we were talking with your dad, right? Or we've been working with your dad, and so whatever it is that weasels into to getting him to part with some money, right? And
Yeah.
so whatever it is, we have, I think, a certain responsibility then to make sure that we're talking with, whether it's the people in our company, whether it's our families, whether it's our friends. We need to be, I think, a lot more proactive rather than just simply say, well, you'll figure it out.
Right. Yeah. And you think about the, okay, I hate to call them seniors because technically we're seniors, right?
Okay, if you insist.
But we're getting darn close. But let's talk about seniors as being those older than us, okay?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, they're the most vulnerable, and
Yeah.
this is a good reason for you to save and share and like this video, because I think it's such vital information that needs to be shared.
Right. Right.
And remember, people fall for this scam, and don't be embarrassed. It happens to everybody. People of all backgrounds.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I've heard of really geeky people that have fallen for it, and they know better. But you know what? They get the urgency. They get the I guess the trust, the fear that gets them, the fear, uncertainty, and doubt,
Right.
to make them act on the scam.
Right. Right. Well, this is really great advice, and thank you, Randy, for sharing these tips and these things that we can do, not just become a victim. Right? There's actually things that we can proactively do as we are trying to verify the party that we're interacting with. So, I feel like we're all walking away, a little bit stronger, a little bit more aware, and again, that zero trust mindset.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Thanks, Paul, and thanks to all of you for tuning in. But remember, zero trust isn't about fear. It isn't about staying smart. Just trust no one. It's hard to say, but
I
trust
know, right?
question everything. Protect yourself by making trust something that's earned, not assumed.
Yeah, exactly. Well, okay. Thank you again for your expertise, and be sure to like, subscribe, and share our videos, and catch us next time on Centered Live, where we keep exploring what keeps us grounded, aware, and empowered. Stay safe and stay connected.
All right. See you later.